Welcome back to the Lump Job podcast, where every match has its price. After a hugely successful opening weekend of the Scottish football season, we're absolutely buzzing to be back with another episode. On this week's show, we'll be looking back at last weekend's selections, including that massive 29-1 fivefold that Aberdeen somehow managed to get over the line for us. We'll also check in on the Lump Job Leaderboard, where the race for bragging rights is already heating up, and where one unlucky panelist finds himself firmly wearing that current clown crown at the bottom of the table. We'll also introduce our brand new lower league bonus lump, review how it got on last weekend, and then turn our attention to this week's selections. This week, all 6 lump jobs are in, although not everyone could make it to the live Zoom recording. Every panellist has submitted their selection, so we'll be discussing all 6 picks from the panel. Once all picks have been discussed, the live panel will decide which selections make it into this week's lump job quad before revealing any other combinations they fancy for the weekend ahead. As always, if you are enjoying the podcast, please like this video, subscribe on YouTube, and follow across our social media accounts at the Lump Job Pod. If you don't agree with the panel or you think we've overlooked a great bet, please let us know in the comments. We do read every single one. All picks discussed on this podcast are for entertainment purposes only and should not be considered betting advice. Please gamble responsibly and only bet what you can afford to lose. Thank you.
You are now listening to the Lump Job podcast, where every match has its price.
Hello and welcome to the Lump Job podcast, where every match has its price. I'm your host Connor, and tonight I'm joined by 2 absolute coconut panelists, Fraser and Chrissy. Lads, how are we doing?
Good, my man. How are you?
Good.
What's been happening? You been up to much?
Nah, mate, quiet. I had a couple of beers for the Rangers game the Friday, then had the Wains over to Transport Museum the Saturday. It was an absolute disaster. Fucking a bit. I knew it was cute to see Spider-Man, mate, and all you done was get a picture with him. It was horrendous.
It was that just so you could get a picture with him, Fraser?
Chrissy, you probably had something more exciting to tell anyway.
I was just out on Saturday for a few pints, and then Sunday just rough. I'm off today, so just went for a haircut, nothing special. But aye, what'd you get up to, Connor? Ain't much?
I went for a deep tissue massage on Saturday. I was going to say it was good. It was fucking sore at the time.
Kick fuck at you.
It was agony. It was a sore at the time, but I felt good after it in the Saturday, and then I came home. Well, I actually managed to make the Thorn game, which was good. Well, we'll get to that. I've got a section on the Thorn Athletic. And then come back and watch that Aberdeen game, which we'll also get to. And Sunday was a bit of a reset, mate, and then just started been working this week. So I wanted to ask you guys, is there any results or scorelines that surprised you at the weekend across the Scottish leagues?
Well, maybe no to some, but for me, I had the Super Boost on Friday. Rangers to win 1-1. Awful.
The Rangers result, I was surprised at, to be honest. You'd be expecting them to beat Dundee United. They didn't create much at all. When I was watching it, I couldn't believe the amount of direct balls Pandar was playing straight up to Shankland and his chest height and all that, and he just couldn't get a hold of it. Centre half was just jumping in front of him.
Aye, they didn't give Shankland anything. I was going to come on the pod and praise Rangers' early business and stuff like that. But they're crying out for wingers. You can see that, it's clear as day.
I didn't expect them to lose, but then when they said that they'd lost the past 3 opening games this season. I was like, fuck's sake, that's a bit of a surprise, but you kind of forget that. But I guess
I
that's
think
why that was a
is
super
it know that they've no won the last 3?
That might be it. They've not won the opening game. That'll be it.
Aye. I think I might be wrong, but I think it's something like the lowest one, and then they've drew the last 3 or something. But they've not won it anyway, so
Yeah, you're right there,
no
actually.
surprising in that regards. Chrissy, any surprising results or scorelines for you, mate?
Probably, I would say Elgin. They beat Edinburgh, Edinburgh City 5-0. I know my cousin was waiting on Edinburgh for his coupon. That was the only team that fucked it for him, and they were evens, and then Elgin was 2-1. So 5-0 was a bit of a shock, to be fair.
Aye, that's a shocker.
For me, it's made a scoreline thing. Hamilton winning 5-0 on the road to Montrose. Montrose had a good League Cup section. They beat Dundee United, Stirling Albion and Arbroath away. So I was expecting Montrose to be decent this season, but Hamilton have obviously just went up there and swept them aside. They do look strong. I think Corey Scott phoning sick tonight. I think he'll be thanking himself because he definitely overlooked some of Hamilton's signings, saying it's just all young boys previously on the last episode. They've got some brilliant quality that they've added for the championship. So aye, 5-0 for me. All right, moving on to the recap of the fivefold. Like I mentioned, there was 5 panel members on the episode last week, including myself, and every bet that we had provided all landed. So that fivefold was coming in 2091, and then obviously the Lump Job quad was 15-1, where we blackballed Stiv out of it. So all those bets landed. Just to recap, Ayr to win versus Arbroath was 17-11. East Kilbride versus Queen of the South over 2.5. Clyde to win versus Stranraer 43. Steny or draw away to Raith at evens, and Aberdeen or draw at 47. So obviously they all came in and we were waiting on Aberdeen to complete the fivefold. Chrissy, you were in the pub, mate. Did you actually see the game?
Aye, so I was in the pub and then I was in a beer garden. Then I went inside to watch the second half, really, because you were giving me a pounding. I was getting slaughtered about 4 or 5 different chats. I was like, oh no, I need to get in and watch this. Then obviously your dad was probably the main culprit, actually, giving the most of the abuse. But I went up to the bar, got a pint, turned round, they'd scored, and then I was like I was with my cousin Kyle. I was like, I've actually got Aberdeen to win on a coupon, and then they went and obviously got the penalty. Aye, it was unreal, man. But came in, so you really were pretty pissed the first half. Say that again.
Says I was probably the only one no slagging you.
I actually forgot about your one.
I definitely wanted to come on and say well done to the lads, getting 5 out of 5 in the first game. That's hard as anything, you know. I think it was a blessing in disguise that I didn't come on with a shocking pick, to be honest. -1 in leaderboard, which I'm sure you'll touch on soon, Connor, as well.
Aye.
For fucking the sixfold, and rightly so, to be honest.
So remind the listeners what your pick was, mate.
It was Peterhead against Ross County, both teams to score. The odds came out too late in the game, to be honest. I was trying to chase value without even knowing what the odds were. And then, I thought Ross County would be like 1-2 on to win. I would obviously have fancied that, but see when the odds came out, they were much higher than that, 7-10 or something, I think they were. So the fact that I didn't then change my mind, it's obviously in hindsight, I probably should have, but oh well, we live and we learn, lad.
You on.
I know. So, like you say, mate, it's a blessing in disguise. So I will bring up the 2 panelists will only see this table, but I'll bring it up for our listeners and viewers on YouTube, and I'll talk through the leaderboard for our audio-only listeners. So we've got a leaderboard here, and how it's going to work is we will track every panelist's bets, either if they win or lose, and we'll total them up in a leaderboard for the end of the season. So I'll just read out the columns here. We've got rank, panelist, number of winning bets, number of losing bets, a win percentage, a win streak, and then a points total. How the points are going to work is if your bet wins, you win a point. If you are the only panel member to give a winning bet, you get a bonus point. Hopefully we've not got too many of them. And then lastly, if you're the only person to not give a winning bet, in this case, the current clown Fraser, you get an extra point taken off.
Put myself right in the firing zone here, ain't I, with a shocking pick. But the lad thrives under pressure. Corey Boy will tell you that at the golf. Single-handedly took us to a big semi-final last year.
So Fraser is the current clown. And I should say to the listeners that we've agreed a forfeit for the clown that is there at the bottom of the table for the end of the season. They will have to dress up in a clown outfit and attend one of the either a local game or some game somewhere where the full panel are out for a day out. There will be one clown there dressed up head to toe. Fucking hope that's no me, I'll tell you that.
No, I know.
I'm the fun favourite at the moment,
Right. What I did want to touch on is we launched on Saturday the lower league bonus lump. So I wanted to give our listeners a bit of background on that. So obviously we do like to, where we can, cover the lowland leagues. We also like to cover the West of Scotland Football League and the Eastern Midlands Football League where we can. The challenge that we've got is that McBookie released the prices really late and it doesn't leave us enough time to discuss actually on a podcast for recording episodes. So these episodes for the lump jobs will focus on your bread and butter SPFL Championship, League 1, League 2 leagues. And then what we'll do is every Saturday morning we will release a lower league bonus lump. It will be a treble across those lower leagues. We won't be able to give you analysis, but we'll put it up there on our socials. So you need to follow us either on Instagram or X to get a hold of those lower league bonus lumps. So just to touch on that, because we've taken plenty of credit for the fivefold landing. We need to take the good with the good, but we also need to take the bad with the bad. So we did release a treble on Saturday morning, and that was Coinning to win versus Beath home, Thorn Athletic to beat Cosyth at home, and Les Mahago to beat Neilston also at home. And none of those bets landed. But what I do want to reassure the listeners is that there still is an element of analysis and discussion that goes into these selections. So we do discuss it on a Saturday morning, and I'm just going to give you a brief rundown into why we had these picks. But I think you're going to jump in and say something, Fraser.
I wasn't a part of any of the conversation, to be honest. I was busy with the wedding, so I'll try and have an input this week and hopefully be a bit better.
Love it. So just to touch on Kilwinning versus Beath, right? There's no secret that there's been heavy investment in the Buffs this season. They are spending a bit. They've got a good manager, Chris Strain, who obviously knows how to win games and get results. They started their league campaign strongly with 2 wins against Cumbernauld Colts and Renfrew. So we did think that with this being their first game at home, they would have been right up for it. However, Beath did surprise. Well, I think they're surprising a lot of people this season, and they certainly surprised us. They've now beat Celtic B. They've now beat the Buffs, and they drew with Cumnock. But from what I'm hearing, they should actually beat Cumnock easily on that day. So Beath do seem to be flying. From what I'm hearing, they're very good in wide areas. Apparently, Lewis Taylor was causing it in spells in that game against the Buffs. And we did admittedly have a few messages when we put the treble up to say that folk were saying we'd never go against Beath this season just by how good they look. So Beath definitely impressing people, want to look out for. Thorn Athletic, I did actually manage to make it at the Thorn Athletic game. We had them on to beat Kilsyth Rangers. Obviously, the Thorn battered Cambuslang 5-1, I think that was. And they just heavily defeated Neilston recently as well. And then Kilsyth had just drawn with Cambuslang Rangers 1 each. Put 2 and 2 together, we did think Thorn being at home, they would turn it on. I was at that game. It was a tough day at the office for the Thorn. Kilsyth were just really physical. Were hard to beat. Got their goal. Didn't create much else. Just kind of shut up shop. And I wouldn't go as far as saying they bullied the Thorn, but they definitely made it hard for the Thorn by being extra physical in the middle of the park. And then lastly, Les Mahego. They've just beat Threave 2-1 at Craighead Park and then demolished a good Bells Hill team 5-1 away from home. So we fancied them to beat Neilston. They were 2-0 up, but Neilston got 2 penalties in the latter stages of the game. So if you're a Les Mahego fan, drop us a comment, let us know if you were unlucky. So we'll take the good with the good, the bad with the bad. We will bounce back this weekend with another lower league bonus lump. So make sure you're following us on Insta and X for that.
Bad. Right. One down.
Okay. And Beath are playing Cali Braves. So I know I'll be keeping an eye out just to see what the prices are when that gets released.
Lock that one in early.
Aye. Going to message McBookie and ask for an early price. Right, moving on to the lump jobs, and I've actually got myself first here, and I apologise because I'm aware I've been dominating the speaking here. I've not really been giving the panel a chance to speak, so I'll run through my bet for the first lump job, and then I'll let you guys give the rundown for your bets. Right. So the first lump job of this episode is going to be St Mirren to win or draw versus St Johnstone and over 1.5 goals in the game, and that is 4-5 on McBookie. So this bet has landed in 4 of the last 5 St Mirren games. Starting with St Mirren, I actually do really like the look of this sort of new look St Mirren team under McLeish. They've went back to a total football possession style of play, as opposed to the direct physical St Mirren that we've been used to in recent years. Apparently, McLeish's academy sides have always been ball-playing sides, so it makes sense why he's reverted to that. I think at the end of last season, he just didn't want to risk it by changing a style of play when their number one goal was just to fight it out to stay in the league and not get relegated. But now with a pre-season under his belt, he's obviously went for it with that style. And their 2-0 win against Falkirk at the weekend, Killian Phillips was absolutely outstanding. I think he actually scored both of the goals in the 10 position, and I actually really like the look of Big Sula up top. He getting some great positions in that game. So they brought him in for West Brom, as well as Ncio in the middle of the park for Rafe, who looks like a real good addition. So they've added a bunch of good players, and I love the new style that McLeish has implemented. On the flip side, they did lose Miguel Freckleton, who's actually going to join the Austrian champs. I'm going to say LASK, or is it LASK? I don't know. But we might actually see Celtic and LASK play in the Champions League. Well, we will see them play in the qualifier, but we might see Freckleton feature in that game. But they still have, St Mirren still have Marcus Fraser and Gogic at the back, so that's solid enough for me. Looking at St Johnstone, 4 of the last 5 games have went over 1.5 goals, including that 7-goal thriller with Kelly. However, what I will say is that the Kelly defending was absolutely woeful in that game. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but it's really bad. It was good to see that the ex-B Juniors man, Josh Fowler, opened his account with a goal and an assist in that game. However, I think St Mirren and their new dynamic style will just be too much for St Johnstone at the Smysa. But if St Johnstone do manage to nick a draw, we've still got it covered in this bet. And that's one reason that's one reason why I do like this combination. If St Mirren score first, their second goal almost guarantees this bet landing. If St Johnstone get an equaliser and it stays like that, the bet still lands, and vice versa. If St Johnstone score first, you just need St Mirren to respond. So I do fancy this bet at 45. I did consider just St Mirren to win. They are currently 15-11 just to win at home, which I think is a handsome price, but I've went with the safe option. So that is St Mirren to win or draw versus St Johnstone and over 1.5 goals in the game at 4-5. Lads, what's your thoughts?
I like it. The only problem I've got is the double outcome bets. But everything you've says there, I definitely fancy it no more that you've spoke about it, to be honest, mate. Aye.
I think there's definitely going to be goals in it because you've seen against Johnstone against Kelly, that was a thriller, even though the defending was pish. And St Mirren, they looked brilliant against Falkirk. Falkirk looked pretty poor, but St Mirren had plenty of chances. They probably could have scored more than two, to be honest. So I do think there will be goals in it, and it's basically you've just got St Mirren to win, draw one each or win 2-1, basically. So
Aye.
I do rate it.
Aye, there's a lot of safety with the bet, to be honest. I mean, St Mirren are a big price at home, I think, as well, as you touched on there. I think St Johnstone, they lost their main man. What is it, Josh McPake, I think his name is? They lost them to Hearts, didn't they?
I think so. Andy was very big in St Mirren in the chat, to be honest. So I do like it. 45, that's decent.
I see.
Aye. But I agree with everything what you're saying. Like, I do fancy them to win, and that is, you're right, Fraser, that is a big price, 15-11 at home. But what I will say is St Johnstone they're not a team that's used to getting beat. Like they do tend to win most of their games, so they're definitely not going to lie down here. So if they do sneak the draw, but still go
They're
on.
going to keep going for it. I was thinking both teams to score in over 2.5, but yours is definitely a lot safer and a bit the same odds, so I like it.
All right. Cheers, fellas. Well, I guess we can move on to the next lump job then, if there's no more comments on that. And that is you, Fraser, my man.
So I've picked Airdrie vs East Kilbride, both teams to score. It's 45 with Bet365 and it's 7-10 with McBookie. So if you're placing a coupon with wins in the lower league, you're probably as well taking the price hit, with McBookie, to be honest. I'll start in the goal stats. So East Kilbride, Connor, you've already touched on it in the last episode. There's been 41 goals in their first 7 games this season, which is averaging nearly 6 a game. Airdrie's goal stats is not so glamorous, to be honest. 13 goals across their first 8 games. Albeit there's been a couple of friendlies in there, and there was a 0-0 draw in their first league game there. So the bet's solely for East Kilbride, to be honest. I think as we go through the season, East Kilbride will be 1-2 on every game, whether it's both teams to score over 2.5. So I think we're getting a good price here early on in the season with them for goals. East Kilbride, 36 games last season, averaged 3.5 goals a game. 63% of their games were both teams to score. Now, I'm expecting that figure to be much higher this season, playing in the league above. The bet's pretty much all for East Kilbride. Mad on stats. And actually, the last time I stole one of the panel members' stats was Stivs in the World Cup with Sweden. And I done well out of that, so I'm hoping for the same this week coming. I just want to touch on the win stats. I'm not saying Airdrie's going to win here, right? But looking at the odds to win, I think it's all priced wrong, to be honest. East Kilbride are short priced favourites at 13 to 20 away from home, and Airdrie are a massive 10 to 3 at home. I mean, I'm going back 2 years ago here, right? So take what you want from it. But Airdrie, a full-time club playing in the Championship, and East Kilbride 2 years ago, a part-time club playing in the Lowland League. So Airdrie are more than capable of getting a goal here. Lastly, the over 2.5, I've not got the odds at handy, sorry, but it's much shorter than the both teams to score. So basically, the bookies think that East Kilbride are going to win by 3 or more over maybe both teams to score one each here. And I think that I really fancy both teams to score, to be honest. And that's me.
Fair enough.
Right.
As you said, East Kilbride have scored is for fun, as all you have covered. The only concern for me would be that Airdrie have only scored in three they haven't scored in 3 of the last 5, so that's the only concern for me.
A big concern on it, to be honest.
Aye, that's what I was going to say. Chrissy beat me to it. Like,
Oh fuck, sorry.
no, not at all, mate. Not at all. I was just going to say, Airdrie haven't scored in the last 2 games. In fact, 3 of the last 5. I think Airdrie have got real concerns up top. They brought in Matty Yates from Linfield. He started the last 6 games and he's no scored yet. They also brought in Mebud from Arbroath. Mebud, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Apologies. Feel free to correct me in the chat, anyone, how to pronounce his name correctly if I'm not doing it so. But he's been brought in from Arbroath. He also hasn't scored. Looking at their games so far, their goals are just coming from random midfielders. It seems. I don't think they've got any hope up front. And like I says, they haven't scored in 3 of the last 5. Fraser, what I will ask you, mate, is have you learned anything from last week? Because Peterhead hadn't scored in the last 2 games, and you put on both teams to score, and guess what? They never scored against Ross County. So Airdrie haven't scored in the last 2 games. Convince me why they're going to score here against East Kilbride.
It's all for East Kilbride here. It's all down to East Kilbride. I think come the middle of the season, every single game East Kilbride play, whether it's no matter who the opponent, it's going to be short odds. So I think we're getting a big price early for them for both teams to score. A full-time club against a part-time club, that's another wee factor in it as well.
The only thing I would say, also, East Kilbride have conceded in the last 4 as well, so they've got that going for you, although they have no scored. So you're just kind of hoping they get a wee lucky goal. So we'll see.
Conceded in the last 4, lad. Come on.
Go for it.
Okay. Cheers, Fraser, my man. I think you've got some winning over to do from my perspective on that bet, but we can
Could
come
be a
to
double
that
crown.
in the round 2.
I don't blame the doubt, lads. I don't blame it.
Okay, right. Moving on to your bet, Chrissy, my man.
So my bet is Hamilton to win and to score over 1.5 goals. That is 5 to 6 still with Sky and 365. Is a wee bit lower on McBookie, but I've put the single on 365, so giving it the odds. Back this because they've got back-to-back 5-0 wins against Montrose, like you said earlier, and Elgin. They only lost 1 in the last 5, and that was against Kilmarnock, a Premiership team away in the League Cup. I did consider -1, and you did say that as well, but I did watch the Ala highlights earlier against East Fife, and they looked like they definitely should have scored. They got 2 boys on loan from Rangers who are on both wings, and they look decent. So just in case they get a goal, I don't want to have to be counting on Hamilton to score 3, even though they have scored 5 in the last 2. I still think Hamilton will be too strong, but it's not worth the risk for me in case, as I said, I'll score. Then you're needing Hamilton to score 3. So last year, Hamilton won the home games, but they did lose their away games to Alloa. But they have improved the squad massively with championship proven players. They've got Stuart Bannigan, and they've got Aaron Comrie and Cameron Blues, who played with Morton. They've also got Dom Thomas from Airdrie. He used to play with Queen's Park. And I don't know what squad list Corey Boy was looking at last week, but I'll send him the updated one after the show.
Aye.
Any thoughts on that one?
I agree, Chrissy, mate. I'm big on this. I think we've already spoke about it briefly in the chat. I agree with everything. I fancy the -1, but for the purpose of this and not getting too greedy, Hamilton to win and over 1.5 is the shout. On top of the players you listed, Stuart Bannigan for Ayr United's another one they've got in the middle of the park. But you're right, they've strengthened massively. All experienced guys. Won 5-0 in their last 2 games. Surely at home to Alloa, they're going to come out flying.
I think Stuart Bannigan, he's not scored in about 7 league campaigns and he's scoring for outside the box. He's full of confidence. Aye.
flying the lad.
Aye, I really like it as well. As you know, I'm pretty big-headed, but I actually like your bet or mine. I think that's the first time I've said that since we started the pod.
That is a first. Fucking hell. Take it, but we'll take it. Cheers.
All right. So that is Hamilton to win and over 1.5 goals against Alloa coming in at, did you say it was 4-5 on Sky Bet, Chrissy? Is that right?
5 to 6.
5
to 6 on Sky Bet and Bet365. It's a little bit lower on McBookie, but if you're doing a quad on it, you want to get the LFP out for the other teams, so I'd do it in McBookie for that.
Aye, definitely.
Too right. We are big fans of McBookie on this show. So McBookie, if you want to sponsor us, the email address is contact@lumpjobpodcast.com.
Get them tagged so that they can start boosting this treble quad, whatever they've got on.
They might not want to boost it, mate, if it keeps winning. Do you know what I mean? They might start slashing it. Right. Okay, lads. We have actually got another 3 lump jobs to talk about tonight. So the absentees, the missing panelists, have been kind enough to send in their lump job for the week, and I've asked them to keep it short and sweet by giving us 3 bullets as to why they've picked the bet, and then we can discuss them openly, right? So firstly, I will bring up Corey's bets, big Scudder Scott. He has chosen Inverness to win away at Arbroath, and that's coming in at 76 on McBookie. The reasons for his bet is Inverness haven't conceded in their last 4 games. Arbroath have lost 3 of their last 4 games, including a 2-0 defeat to Montrose. And that was at home, where you'd expect Arbroath to win. And then lastly, the signing return of Graham Shinney is a massive influence to team morale. And that is Corey's main points. Lads, what do you think of that?
What was the price of it? Was it 10 to 7?
The most recent price that I've seen, mate, is 76 that I've picked up from McBookie, and that was just before this pod.
Right, so it's dropped in price a bit. I think this is the riskiest bet of the lot, including mine, by the way. I think it's more risky than mine. I think it's a big price. Away from home, it's a tough ground. Arbroath to go to, they're well known for having a good home record, I think. So I'm not 100% sure on it, to be perfectly honest.
I didn't fancy it initially, but obviously Inverness started the season well, unbeaten in the 4 League Cup games, and the 0-0 with Dunfermline at the weekend. It's a decent price, but there's no easy games away from home, especially at Gayfield. So it's not been high up on my list, but I can see why he's picked it for the odds.
I tell you what, that's some result against Dunfermline.
Aye,
definitely.
Aye, I think they are. They're they're a solid defensive unit, clearly Inverness, with the fact that they've not conceded in the last four games. What concerns me the most with this is the lack of goals. There's a serious amount of 1-0s where they have won. They obviously drew nothing each last week. A few 1-0s kicking about there as well. So I think they're lacking goals. And what I will say is Arbroath have won the last two meetings at Gayfield Park between the two sides. It might be a difficult place for them to go. Okay, so right now the panel are a bit dubious of Corey Corner's pick there.
He's not well.
I know. Sick note, Scott. Moving on to Andy Also Collins. Andy
Robson.
Andy wanted to apologise to the listeners for his overuse of the word also in the previous episode. And that's only half it because I had to cut off it. But Big Al Also Collins has picked Stenhousemuir to win at home to Morton at 21-20. And that is on McBookie. His rationale for that is in the last meeting between the two sides in January, Stenhousemuir came out 4-0 winners in the Scottish Cup at home and on their Astral pitch, which is also a massive factor. Since the start of the new season, Morton have played 5 competitive games. They've been beaten all 5 games and they've not scored a single goal. Stenhousemuir also got 10 points from the League Cup group games this season, topping the group undefeated. That includes wins over Forfar and Brecon, plus beating Partick Thistle and Livingston on penalties to reach the last 16. Fellas?
Aye, this is my favourite bet of the lot, to be honest. If you'd used the word also a couple more times, I'd have thought I'd jump on there.
Chrissy boy?
I also like this one the best. Just because you said Stenny are unbeaten and they're at home. Morton have lost every game and have not even scored. Stenny have lost a manager. They look better, so they just get promoted. So I'm all for this one, definitely.
I agree, lads. I think it is the best bet of the episode. I think it's the most obvious bet. I'm still absolutely gobsmacked that you're getting this odds against 21-20. I don't get it. I think they should be well shorter than this, just purely because of how bad Greenock Morton are. No scored in the last 5 games. Been beaten all of them. One of the defeats also included a defeat to Linlithgow Rose. So that just shows you how much trouble they're really in. And we already Steve spoke about how much he rates Stenny in the last episode. Big Marvin Bartley there. Great manager. So I'm all for this. Okay. Moving on to the last bet of the episode, and this is from Steve. So Steve has went with East Fife to beat Cove Rangers at home at 16-11, and that's on McBookie. So East Fife had a better League Cup campaign, drawn with St Mirren and Inverness, and then beaten both Morton and Linlithgow Rose. Last season, head-to-head versus Cove Rangers, across the 4 games, East Fife won 3 of those games, 2 at home, 1 away, and they drew the other. In those 4 games, Cove only scored 1 goal, which was Fraser's favourite, Big Mitch Megginson, who's actually moved on. He's away for Cove. Where did he go? Is he at Peterhead now, Fraser?
Peterhead, oh man, that was half the reason why I picked them.
And also Cove Rangers have not scored in the last 4 games. And then Stive's actually added a 4th bullet to this, saying we all love Dick. So that's the last reason.
Fair enough.
Lads, what's your thoughts on this?
I like that one as well. As you said, East Fife are unbeaten in 90 minutes this season. They only get beaten Pens in the League Cup away to Inverness, so they're in form. I like it.
Yeah, I'm the same. It was down the pecking order for me, but see, just listening to Steve's bullet points, I would have it right up there now. I think it's a cracking price. They're at home, early payout with McBookie. That's exactly what we're after, innit?
Fraser, I agree with you 100%, mate. Andrew, Chrissy, early payout on McBookie, strong home team. What was East Fife drew with Alloa, nothing each, first game of the season, last at the weekend. But you're getting 16-11 here to beat a team that haven't scored in the last 4 games.
Aye, the head-to-head record done it for me there. 1-3 and drawing 1.
Was it? I thought it was the last bullet that would have done it for you. Right, lads. Brilliant. So that is the bets from the missing panel members. Let's be honest, that is 3 decent bets. I'm not going to lie. Let's agree a treble first, and then we'll decide if we want to add another bet on it to make a quad.
Can I just ask, did you bend the rules for Andy Robson, or was it just you actually really liked their bets and didn't have confidence in me and Chrissy for a treble?
I had confidence in Chrissy, but I didn't have confidence when I seen your both teams to score bet, to be honest. Fraser, I did say, I asked you, what have you learned for last week? It's just giving me the fear that a team that hasn't scored in the last 2 games, we put them on both teams to score and they don't score, and then you do the exact same thing the following week.
My mission next week will be for a win.
Fucking hope so.
Let's just pick the best 3 bets out of all 6 here. So I think we all agree Stenhouse Muir is number 1 pick here at home.
Definitely.
Okay.
Agree with that.
Second, I'm going to go with yours, Chrissy. I think yours is the best bet. After that, Hamilton to win at home and over 1.5 goals after 2 back-to-back 5-0 wins.
Aye, they're only like 1-2 to win, so they adding the goals on puts up a wee bit. That's obviously why that's in. They are heavy favourites, so I do think that should be in the quad.
What do you think, Fraser?
I agree, mate. I don't mind it. If I'd won last week, I'd have had mine straight up second, but I've lost the confidence, the lads.
I need to earn it back.
Third place, and I'll let you guys give you. In fact, I'll let you go first. What you think third before me? Chip in with my thoughts.
You take it away, Chrissy.
I'm not going to lie. I think it's between yours, Connor, or East Fife. But I just think I have to pick St Mirren one for the third one, definitely. I think there's going to be goals in that, and then I don't think St Mirren will lose. I think it'll either be a draw or a win, like you said. So I definitely.
I am happy with that.
Okay, that is the treble. And do we want to make a quad and fire in something additional to that? I guess it would be between Steve and Fraser's.
Let's be honest, I know exactly what your thoughts are, lads. If I was to pick, I'm going to go with East Fife. Just at home, Cove Rangers haven't scored. Fraser, that's my views, mate. Chrissy, do you agree before?
I had to apologise, Fraser. I would have East Fife ahead of that one. But I can see it coming in, but I just think I've got East Fife ahead of it.
All good, fella.
Okay. Q, I'll 1 each draw in that game and 4 each in the Airdrie East Kilbride game. And we know who we've piped up straight away. And we know who will only be missing the episode next week if that's the case. Right, lads. So the Lump Job quad for this week is St Mirren versus St Johnstone. So it's St Mirren win or draw and over 1.5 goals in the game. Stenhousemuir to beat Greenock at home. East Fife to beat Cove Rangers at home. And Hamilton to win and over 1.5 goals at home to Alloa Athletic. That quad is coming in at 15-1.
Nice.
For the lads. Obviously, that's the Lump Job quad. Are you thinking about doing any other treble combinations, any doubles? What you thinking?
I mean, obviously, I'm going to have a couple of bets with mine in it, but I'll certainly be sticking money on the quad and all. I really liked Stenhousemuir at home. I wasn't sure on the double outcome bets. I'm going to do a separate one without they two, and then I'm going to do one with they two, if that makes sense.
Aye, that does make sense, mate.
I have yours and Chrissy's in a bet, and then I'm going to take they two out and put Steve and Corey's in.
Right.
Yeah. I'll do our three in a treble, definitely, just because we're on.
I've done that as well. I did do the panelist treble. So Fraser, I know we've blackballed you for this episode, but I do have your bet on in a treble, mate. Just to pay homage to the three musketeers that did make it on the pod tonight. So
No.
I do have.
We're rooting for you, mate. We're rooting for you, Fraser.
Hopefully, I'm not bored of my Lindy's up at 5:30 on Saturday.
I'm trying to. I was trying to get the betting split up for that treble. I think when I done it, it was 5-1 for that.
Nice.
I know Steve mentioned that he's going to do a no-show treble with F3 selections across Andy, Corey, and Steve. Don't know what price that treble's coming in at, but sure will be handsome with the prices.
Let's see who comes out on top. The no-shows and the panelists.
Fraser, if you get another clown outcome this week, are you going to do a forfeit?
I might as well just order my outfit. See my sizes Saturday, right?
You've already got the clown shoes, to be fair, so you're all right there.
Oh, brilliant. Right, lads, that concludes our episode of the Lump Job podcast. I'll ask our listeners one last time. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe, like, follow, share, do all the above. It really does help us. We've got some really big plans for the podcast. We want to make it the best that it can be. There is so much more to come for us, so we do appreciate your support. Any final comments from the two coconut panelists?
Just for having us on again, lad. Good to be back.
Definitely.
That's one thing I will say, Fraser. There was a few fans that missed you. A few listeners were asking for you, mate. So it's good to have you back on.
Yeah.
Missed his pattern, his picks.
Right, lads. Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers, lads.
You are now listening to the Lump Job podcast, where every match has its price.